Well, don't mourn the now gone Scion FRS much, because it's back, and I've got it right here. Spot an 86 by the revised front bumper cover and grille, more LEDs in the head and tail light assemblies, and faux vents on the fenders that try even harder to not look faux. Now, the natural comparison to a Toyota 86, aside from its stablemate, the Subaru BRZ, and the now-defunct Scion FRS, is to a Mazda Miata and or a Fiat 124. Now, obviously, they're very different in the fact that one's an open car and one is not, but let's look at them on paper. This Toyota is over a foot longer than a Miata. That surprised me. The wheelbase is also commensurately longer. The weight's a big difference, over 440 more here on this Toyota. The power-to-weight ratio difference is also notable, better on the Toyota. One has 2 seats and one kind of sort of has vestigial 2 more. Now, inside the 86, things are pretty cozy, as you can imagine, and the whole look and feel up here is ever so slightly evocative of the legendary Toyota 2000 GT. A little bit of this arc over here on this side, and this was a glove box in the original car. The nod to the past continues here in the head unit, which feels like the past. This is an optional display radio, and I would advise you against getting it. Sources for media and streaming are pretty slim. AHA is their main sort of modern app connectivity. More useful would just be a standard Bluetooth audio connection. And beyond that, you got the various kinds of broadcast and satellite radio. Pioneer 8-speaker audio in this setup, and it may be the worst sounding system I've reviewed so far this year. I would de-option that and instead drop in an aftermarket Android Auto and CarPlay unit like a Sony AX100. You've got some very simple manual climate controls down here, a crisp, very simple instrument panel with just the essentials that you need. I believe the wheel's been revised since this was a Scion. I think it's a little smaller diameter. I don't normally swear that a manual's the best thing since they invented cars, but in this car, it absolutely makes sense. Oh, by the way, believe it or not, there are seats behind me. Now, you know my test, can I sit behind myself? No! The question really is, can anyone sit behind me? No! The trunk is not a bad storage bin for a car this size, and that second row seat back folds down easily and very flatly. I was pleased by that. I don't get a lot of beautiful engine bays in my line of work. They're usually shrouded in plastic crap. And isn't it ironic, then, that one of the least expensive cars I'll get in all year has one of the prettiest places under the hood? This is a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. 2-liter flat-4 Subaru sourced, of course, as part of the partnership. 205 horsepower, 5 less if you get an automatic. Same thing with the torque. It's 156 pound-feet, not much, and 5 less on the automatic. Interesting way they get gas in the engine, by the way. They use 2 different modes. There's port injection, kind of old-school injection, that goes into the intake ports at low RPM. At high RPM, they switch to direct injection, where the fuel is injected directly right at the top of the piston in the cylinder. And they say it gives them better overall throttle response and better MPG. Now, the key thing to know about the 86 as well as the Subi BRZ is that enough really is enough. You might scoff on 200 or so horsepower on paper, but you won't do it on the road because there's nothing like driving a car you can use all of most of the time. You know me, I'm not a manual transmission sort of jihadist. I'm good with most of the great automatics today, but in this case, yes, you should be driving a manual transmission. Now, before I send you off to buy a manual, though, know this. The 6-speed automatic gets dramatically better gas mileage. Great clutch and gearbox feel. Those back seats, as we saw, are fine for groceries or young'uns. And because this car's wheelbase is long enough, it's not a pitchy, porpoising ride. This is just a very livable sports car. Full electric power steering, and they've got it dialed in beautifully. It's absolutely the right ratio and linearity with every corner that I take it into. But this may be the part of this car I love the most. How easy it is to configure. There's only one way to get it. You either buy it or you don't. 27-1, choice of 7 colors, always black inside, and that's it. Well, there is one option that is in our purview, and that is that head unit that I'm disappointed in. $900 I do not want to see you spend. In general, I love this car. I think it fits in the rarefied pantheon with Miata, S2000, and its stablemates, and there are not a lot of other entries in that area. This is a real special car for a nice piece of money. You know the old axiom, it's better to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow? And that kind of maligns this guy, but the idea is correct. I like having a car I can use all of and do so in a really enjoyable way.